So Jacob, real quick, are you back home right now, or are you back at school? Where are you?
I'm in Vancouver. Yeah.
Nice, dude. How's the weather up there? Is it freezing yet? Because I know summer's almost over.
Oh no, Vancouver's nice. We're good. We're good for a little bit longer, a couple months longer at least.
A couple months. When do you go back to wherever it is you go?
No, I'll be in Vancouver for the foreseeable future.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you so you're there until
third year school. So we're this is the first week. This is day 2. I have a class at 90 minutes. That's why we're doing it now.
Oh, geez, that's right. I forgot. You still got classes after this. What class you got?
I got ethics.
Ethics? What? You're gonna fail that. I think we need Shane here to school you up on some ethics.
I need Shane to help with ethics.
I think you need Shane to come help out with business ethics.
That seems like it could go wrong in a hurry. To have Shane in my ethics class.
Could you imagine Shane?
Should help you with your final.
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. No, it's only. I mean, I'm West Coast, right? So it's only 5:00. So we're stacking. Where I did the last hour, I'm honestly still in it. It's still going on, but I've been doing my work fantasy league. It's a 16-team league. I mean, it's a work league, so people were doing all sorts of insane things, all up and down the draft. And then we got the show. And then, as soon as this show is wrapped, heading off to go to ethics class.
Is that like remote, or do you actually have to go to a class?
No, I have to go to a class. I live on campus, so it's about a 25-minute walk. So we'll be done this in an hour, and then I'm gonna hike on over to ethics.
That's not too bad.
Tonight we'll be running.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to kick the show off? We ready to talk?
Kick it off, man.
Hey, at least we don't
kick
have
it off. I got ethics to do.
Let's go. We got ethics.
We got ethics.
I just want Shane to go to your class with you. That's all.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
What is up, everybody? Welcome on into Fantasy Intervention. It is good. It is good to be back for the season-long episodes. That is right. We are here to help you out with your starter sit questions. We are here to help out with your trade questions. We are here to help out with your waiver wire questions. We're here to help out with all your questions. I am joined, of course, by Jacob Sanderson. What's going on, Jacob? How we doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the best week of the year.
It is. I'm so excited. And, of course, our newest member of the team, Jayson. What's going on, Jay?
I am so stoked. Week 1 is here. This whole summer has been such a drag. It is time to go. It is go time.
It is go time. I am ready. Of course, we've been doing Dynasty Intervention, so we've been here for your Dynasty needs, but we are ready to kick off. I already see these questions lining up, which I'm excited. I'm excited for. We get listener questions again, Jacob. We get listener questions. Yes. And it's funny because it's Shane's favorite part of the show, and he's not even here for it, which is
I'm not even here for it. My only listeners are my kids. Nobody else listens to me. They don't even listen to me.
That is pretty on point. You need to sound a little bit more like low key, like a little bit quieter, a little bit more laid back, but you got it. Oh man. So we have plenty of stuff packed in for this episode for y'all. And like I said, we will be getting to your questions. James, I see your question in here. We will be getting to it. I see some other questions. Mr. Scampers, big shout out to you. Jamie, what's up, guys? It's Jamie's birthday today. Jamie, happy birthday. I see all this stuff in the chat, of course, so welcome in. Stay tuned. We will be answering this question. Before we go into it, I do want to go over a brief overview of what the show is going to consist of. We got some news and notes, some stuff going on, of course, some players that we might want to target for week 1. We're going to be talking about some of the Thursday night matchup very briefly. We're not going to dive too deep into that. And then, of course, we have our revenge games, followed up by our most popular segment. That's right. We're picking players outside of the top 20 who we think are going to finish inside the top 10. We compete every single week in order to help you guys find your flex options or waiver wire options. Who
won that last year, by the way?
You won it by a couple. So I don't even want to hear it. You
a couple points. I think I spotted you 2 weeks. I think
you spotted me one because I missed a week too. You spotted me one.
Oh, okay. All right.
You spotted me one. And I think you still won by like 4 or 5 points. But it was good, man. It was good. All right. So let's go ahead and let's start out with some news and notes real quick. I think one of the biggest topics this year, one of the biggest, I guess, almost like hush-hush type situations that could absolutely ruin your fantasy teams is the Jacksonville Jaguars running back situation. Now, I know Jacob's not huge on James Robinson, of course. He's a big ETN fan. He thinks that ETN is probably going to end up finishing as the RB1 this season. Halfway kidding on that one, Jacob. But James Robinson is supposedly 100% healthy coming off of an Achilles tear.
100%.
I mean, are we a little bit nervous about Travis Etienne moving forward? Or is Travis Etienne still wheels up?
I mean, I've been really weaned off Etienne since he rose like 2 rounds in cost. So that's the biggest issue for me. I'm more afraid of his cost than I am of James Robinson. But yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, I don't think that James Robinson is necessarily going to be that effective, right? He's coming off an Achilles injury, like you mentioned. Even if he's playing, how good is he going to be really? I'm not so sure. The issue is, though, if the team wants to employ him in high leverage situations because they want to rely on him as a pass protector, if they want to rely on him as a short yardage back, even if James Robinson is only playing 35% of the snaps, if ETN is kind of reduced to the Miles Sanders between the 20s role, that really, really does limit his upside, especially, in an offense. It's not probably going to be in the top 10 or top 15 in scoring. So I think it's a legitimate concern usage wise from like a weekly start perspective. From a season long perspective, I think if you're in on ETN, you can stay in on ETN because I just really don't think that Robinson's going to be able to put together 17 effective, healthy games in 2022. I think that's a really tough ask.
I mean, let's not forget that we do have Doug Peterson over there as the head coach. Doug Peterson does love to pass to his running backs more than anything else, even if they are being used in the committee. I mean, Miles Sanders was somewhat of a disappointment, but he still got usage in the Doug Peterson offense. Meanwhile, I mean, we're talking about the Boston Scotts of the world and everything in between. So I'm not worried about ETN myself. Jay, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think I'm right there with y'all on that. I'm pretty high on ETN myself. What scares me is both of them coming back from injury. So, you got like this new Connor you might want to stash just with that kind of thing.
All right, let's go ahead and hop on to Chris Godwin because, I guess it came in today that he practiced in full for the first time. He shed his knee brace, 2 days ago or so. Meanwhile, there's still reports coming out that he might not play. He might play. Does this matter to you, or are you just rolling out Mike Evans without any fear?
Well, you can definitely roll out Mike Evans. I mean, I've been quite off Mike Evans this year, but by golly, I'm starting him. By golly, I'm starting Mike Evans. No, if Godwin's going to actually play, then he's an interesting start. I still don't think that he'll get his full allotment of snaps. So I'd be putting him pretty far down the list. I'd be viewing him as more wide receiver 4. I think the only thing that it makes it tougher is if Godwin's fully out, then I think you can play each of Julio and Russell Gage without any concerns. If Godwin's playing, we don't necessarily know where his snaps are coming from, whether they're coming from Julio, if they're just going to be rotating guys in and out. It makes Julio and Gage a lot sketchier, especially Gage, I think. So if Godwin does play, assuming we don't hear anything definitive on like exactly how many snaps he's going to play or anything like that, I would probably go Evans clearly as the top priority there, followed by Julio, followed by Godwin, followed by Gage, I think.
All right, let's go ahead and hop over to Van Jefferson being ruled out. Gator J, Allen Robinson, what's his value? Is this news to you, or is this just something that you really didn't pay any mind to in the first place? I already know Jacob's answer, so.
Yeah, I don't think it's news that he's going to be ruled out. We've been hearing over the last week or so that he's been injured. But I think it is wheels up for Allen Robinson, to be honest. I think Jake
this is
about to fall here.
This is a tough defense, man. This is a tough defense to face. I mean,
They're
Bills
beat up at corner though right now.
They are. I believe Travis Davis White's still out, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their secondary is a little bit beat up, but I mean, they added edge rushers. This is something that I get a little bit nervous. We talk about Matt Stafford. Sure, he says he's fine. Is he actually fine? Is his elbow going to be able to propel the ball downfield to Allen Robinson, because he's most likely not going to be playing in the slot like he did over there for the Chicago Bears as much. I think that Cooper Kupp, it's more wheels up, obviously, but Allen Robinson for me is more of like an afterthought. Like he can end up with 4 catches for 60 yards and, call it a day, but we'll see what happens with that. All right. Yeah. And I did save this, by the way, Mr. Scampers. He asked me if I'm more itchy or sore. And it's because I got my chest waxed for charity last night.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was bad. I had dots all over me. It hurts, man. I was hairy as hell. You guys can check it out on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Once again, that's youtube.com/fantasy intervention. And by the way, if you are watching on Twitter, go head over to YouTube so you can join the conversation. We cannot see your comments coming in, or you can head over to Fantasy Football Discussion over there on Facebook, of course. Big shout out to you guys. Keep those questions coming, by the way. We will get to your questions. In fact, let's go ahead and start out with the question.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. James, what's up, James? Hopefully you're still in here. I know you asked this as soon as we started out the show. He asked, trade Hopkins for Waddle and Henderson.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, this is a no-brainer. I don't know whether it's redraft or fantasy or dynasty. It does not matter.
Unless it's a point per suspension
why
league.
are you talking to us? I mean, Hopkins did not show out well last year. I know he was hurt. He was dealing with a few injuries and whatnot. But, I mean, this Arizona Cardinals wide receiver corps, it's loaded. And we already know that Arizona wants to run the ball in addition to that. So, I mean, Benjamin season, Rondale Moore season, not Hopkins season. I would have not even put that in the chat. I would be busy accepting that trade. Please.
This feels like one of those deals where someone texts you. They're like, would you do this? Like, and it's obviously like a ridiculously lopsided deal. And it's like, I can't believe someone would offer that. And the guy's like, oh, well, I'm just considering sending it. That's what it feels like to me.
Yes.
And they're like, do you think I should send that? I'm like, well, it depends on if you value future relationships with your league mates. But yeah, go for it.
Oh, you're going to be that guy. You're going to be that guy. All right. Yeah. So please do bring in these questions. I think I have one more one more question left, and we will hop on to our next segment. Bring in those questions, guys, especially y'all from Fantasy Football Discussion. How is Mostert the healthiest running back in Miami? And that is a question to be had. Is Mostert like one of the biggest values right now in terms of ADP in comparison with potential value, in comparison with already knowing the scheme, there are so many different reasons as to why Mostert should be the running back to try and target if you're trying to get a value late in drafts?
I'm not interested. He's not the archetype of player that I'm interested in drafting. He's old. He is not a pass down threat. Really, he never has been. He's never really been used as a goal line threat, and he's never been used in a high volume way. So, in best ball, sure, I imagine he'll have some weeks, but I just picture him as being like an 8 to 10 carry guy. He's not going to get a lot of targets. He's going to be used primarily between the 20s. I just don't think that's a guy you ever start in a managed league with a ton of confidence. Maybe if you have a 0 RB team and you want to just throw him out there in a given week, sure. But I prefer to just play that backfield through Chase Edmonds. And yeah, I see Evans has a groin injury. It's always weird with limited injuries. Like if he picked it up at practice and that's why he's limited, then that's a pretty major concern. But I haven't seen anything from team beat reporters yet expressing a ton of concern. So, if he's playing, I'd fire up Edmonds. If not, then Mostert becomes pretty interesting. And so honestly, probably Myles Gaskin, maybe Salvin Ahmed. Gosh.
Oh my God. Jacob, you're going deep on this. All right. Gator J, do you have a different take on that?
No, I want nothing to do with that backfield. It's kind of like New England. I don't want nothing to do with that one either. If I can't play Chase Edmonds, I'm going to go find somebody else off the waiver wire. I mean, Mostert is made of glass. And so if Edmonds is out, it ain't going to take but 1 or 2 hits and Raheem Mostert is going to be done.
I think Mostert is the quintessential zero RB guy. If you're going serious zero of RB, like you're waiting until the 16th round to take your first one. No, but let's go ahead and let's cover this Thursday night game. I do see questions from Patrick in the chat, Frank and Mr. Scampers. Once again, we will get to that as soon as we cover this quick Thursday night matchup. We have the Buffalo Bills up against Los Angeles Rams. The over under is 51.5 with the Bills favored at 2.5. For me, I'm smashing this under. Are you guys? Is anybody taking the over on this?
No, I'll take the under.
Yeah, give me the under.
I mean, the Bills' defense is dominant. There's a chance that the Bills go into the rushing type offense once again, where they're just going to run out the clock. I don't really see how you could hit an over unless Stafford just plays lights out, and that Bills secondary really is trouble. So, are you starting any running back from either one of these matchups? Obviously, the Bills had the best rushing defense. I can't justify getting behind Cam Akers at this point, although he might have been a starting running back for you. I don't want to run him out there, especially in week 1. Do any of you guys feel differently or have a running back that you actually want to start in this matchup?
I mean, I don't know how, like, I guess I'm not drafting much Akers, but if you have Akers and you drafted Akers, I feel like you're probably starting him. I mean, how late did you get him where he's your RB3? And if you're drafting him as a third running back, then I feel like your team is just kind of bad. I'm sorry. Or maybe you're in like a 10-team league or something. But for the most part, like if you're drafting him in the 4th, 5th round, like, yeah, you're probably starting him as your RB2. I don't think it's like a horrifically bad matchup, to be honest. That the Bills have been known to let you run on them a little bit. They're usually more concerned with defending the pass, and you're still going to have a pretty high total on this game. So I think you can play Akers, but yeah, I think he's a pretty risky RB2 option. I mean, he's going to get touches. It's just we're not sure what the split's going to be, but it's not like he's going to not play. He'd certainly be the running back I would play above anybody else in this game. But I think that there's no running back here that I would rank like in the top 18 for me or something like that this week.
Is Zach Moss still a thing? Because he was definitely trending.
Seems like it, unfortunately.
Crazy to me. That is absurd. Yeah. Why is he still a thing right now?
I don't know, but if they're actually going to use him, like he's not going to be useful to any fantasy team. But if they're actually going to use him in a short yardage goal line role, I mean that's just death for this backfield's value in any format, because Singletary at that point is drawing totally dead. If they're using Cook in passing downs and Moss at the goal line, then Singletary is so useless. And then Cook, I mean, the idea with Cook was, okay, you have, a standalone pass down role, kind of like a Naheem Hines with Singletary. And then if Singletary goes hurt, then Cook is going to have all this value. If you just have Moss walking in to take the Singletary role at that point, then neither of them are, so it's just, it's really, Zach Moss needs to fuck off.
He does. He just needs to fuck off. Like, it's time. It is time to go, Zach Moss. All right. What are the expectations for Gabriel Davis? Jacob, I don't think you're really on him. You are on him?
I think that Twitter's arguments against him annoy me. And so I root for him to bring disappointment onto the haters. I draft like a somewhat okay amount of him.
So okay. Are you sitting there saying, okay, so Twitter is bad mouthing Gabriel Davis for this last week. Okay, Gabriel Davis, go and smash.
I'm a Gabe Davis centrist. Like basically, I just think that he's not like as boom bust as people make him out to be. I think it's like a false narrative. He's going to run a million routes. He's on the Bills. He's not that incredible of a receiver. He's also not that bad of a receiver. He's probably going to score somewhere in the low wide receiver 2, mid wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range. Like I just don't think he's all that interesting, quite frankly. And we talk about him like he's this crazy zany play that's either going to be the wide receiver 1 overall or he's going to be out of the NFL. So I think that's my issue is like I see people, the arguments against him where it's like, oh, he's only had this many PPR points before, or he's only had this much target share before. We didn't run the routes. And it's like, I don't know if he's going to run the routes. Yeah, we do know he's going to run the routes. That's just my issue with it. Like he's going to run the routes. He's going to score points. I don't know. Like there's guys that go behind him in the 4th round that I prefer. Like I prefer Deontay Johnson. I prefer Jalen Waddle. I prefer Juju Smith-Schuster. But I don't think that he's like some completely egregious pick. I think he's going to have probably a good game in this one. I mean, I assume Diggs is going to see a lot of Ramsey.
Yeah, there's a very high case scenario where Diggs does see Ramsey. Ramsey does tend to shadow. I think he shadowed on 6 total games last year. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog or not, but it's kind of weird. All right. So in other words, Jacob has Gabriel Davis over T. Higgins for the season. Let's go ahead and hop on to Allen Diggs, Stafford, and Kupp. Which one is the better stack for DFS if you are playing DFS? Allen or Diggs or Stafford and Kupp?
Allen and Diggs would be the better. But I haven't even I have not prepped myself for Showdown, so I couldn't tell you their prices to be honest with you. But price agnostic, give me Allen and Diggs. I don't know.
All right, Gator J, same.
Yeah, I don't play much DFS at all. That's something I'm hoping to get into.
I threw a twist into that one. Sorry, guys. I threw a complete twist. They weren't expecting it. My bad.
Normally, I'll know how to do DFS. I'm going to do it with you in 48 hours, but I've been trying to jam in so many fucking best ball traps that I have not had a chance to look at Showdown for Thursday whatsoever.
I've done so many of the prop bets over there on Underdog. In fact, if you guys use promo code CIRCLE over there on Underdog, you can actually get your deposit matched up to $100, I believe. Yeah, go check out Underdog and use promo code CIRCLE.
Woo.
And you'll actually get a deposit match and you'll be able to play with all of us. All right, let's head on to these questions again. We have, let's see, Frank DeLeo said, target White with the news that Fournette's workload will be decreased. I believe that what the beat reporters are saying, that prior to Fournette going down with an injury, he was seeing, a 60% snap share, somewhere around this range.
Yeah,
following that, I think it was up at 70% or 80%. So, you saw a massive increase. Obviously, Giovanni Bernard's injury played a key role into that. The drop passes from Rojo and from Keyshawn Vaughn, from Tom Brady, that was a massive, massive boost to Fournette's end of the season workload. Meanwhile, hey, Leonard Fournette was healthy after, he was out for a few games, and they wanted the best running back possible out on the field at all times. So, Rachaad White, obviously Tom Brady hates rookie running backs, but do we bump up Rachaad White in redraft? We've been talking about him all Dynasty, how we love him in Dynasty. Do we love him for redraft?
Love him in redraft. He's like my favorite player to draft in redraft. He just goes so late. You don't need anything from him early in the season. Stash him on the bench. If he gets a standalone role next to Fournette, that's awesome. You might be able to play him at RB2. If Fournette goes down, there's nobody in fantasy potentially that has higher contingent value than Rachaad White. 28 expected fantasy points for the running back position in Tampa Bay last year. We saw it with Fournette. This offense was such a vehicle for his production. We saw it in the wild card round when Fournette was out, and Keyshawn Vaughn and Giovanni Bernard both had over 15 fantasy points, and they suck. So there's a lot of opportunity for Rachaad White.
Yeah, you're not holding back on your ethics class. You're already getting all that in right tonight, right now. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think Rachaad White is definitely somebody that you want to grab as quick as you can. I'm not saying quick as in jump in the 10th round to get him. As quick as you can. Don't let him get to your waiver wire, because as soon as he gets to the waiver wire, somebody else is going to grab him. He has value definitely later in the season. Just like Jacob just said, the Giovanni Bernard and who's the other one that doesn't even matter, but
Keyshawn
Vaughn. They have no value at all. And I'm saying this as a Bucs fan. They got no value. Brady hates rookie running backs just like Aaron Rodgers hates rookie wide receivers. There is no difference for them. So definitely go ahead and stash him. He gets a few more practices, gets a few more weeks with Tom Brady, and he is going to have a hell of an end of a year.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, let's go ahead and hop on to this next question. Patrick brings in Mooney and Judy for late 24 first, late 23 second, late 24 second. For me, that's a no. It's too far out for that first, and although the 2023 draft is going to be nuts, I'd much rather have the values of Mooney and Judy. I think that you could probably pull at least one first-round pick from each one of those guys.
Yeah, you're looking at Judy, and we're talking about Sutton as being the wide receiver one, but there's a very real possibility that Judy could be the wide receiver one and actually bring that stock up for him. Mooney's going to be the only wide receiver out there in Chicago.
Yeah, I'll take the picks.
Really?
We're talking wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, first of all, you have no idea if it's going to be a late 24 first. That's 2 years away. What we think is late 24 first, those might not be a late 24 first. But yeah, I think just Mooney and Judy, I mean, we're looking at wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s in terms of fantasy value. You're always going to be able to find that in rookie drafts. And so I'd rather just have the draft capital on my bench.
Interesting. Okay. Let's go with Mr. Scamper's question. Redraft half PPR, I'm guessing. Got to drop Sky Moore or Tyler Boyd. For me, Tyler Boyd, because like he's only giving you 2 or 3 weeks a season where he's actually startable in the flex. Everything else, he's getting you 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 points. I mean, occasionally he'll have like an 11 or 12 pointer, and then he'll have a blow up game here and there, but you never know when you can play him. Meanwhile, you're limiting your upside. Sky Moore's upside is through the roof. I mean, I don't even have Tyler Boyd rostered on any team, I don't think, outside of maybe 1 or 2 best ball, like just in case somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I like Boyd in best ball quite a bit, actually. But in this scenario, I would go with Sky Moore that I would keep on my team. I would drop Tyler Boyd. I mean, Tyler Boyd doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose for you until the bye weeks hit, unless Chase or Higgins is able to get hurt. Sky Moore, you're probably not playing him for at least the first month of the season either. But at least that's a guy that you can stash on your bench, has some upside, and you can envision him getting up into that really high upside play in the latter half of the year.
Yeah, I think this goes right back to what we were just talking about with Rashad White. Boyd has very little value. Sky Moore's value is going to be at the end of the season anyway. So I think that's perfect.
All right, let's go ahead, and we got a few more questions. We're going to get to those here in a second, but we're going to run through these rivalries for this week. We have Joe Flacco. He's starting for the Jets. He's playing up against the Ravens. The Ravens secondary last year was pathetic. This year it seems improved, but keep in mind it is week 1, so we don't know if they're all on the same page. Joe Flacco, meanwhile, is one of my favorite DFS targets, but are you starting him?
Goodness.
Yeah, he is.
We're going to have to discuss this on Friday? God damn it.
We are talking about this on Friday. On World, on Player Profiler, Jacob and I will debate.
I put a time clock. I have limited time only. I have to vote time to Joe Flacco on Friday. Flacco?
Oh, yeah.
Playing Flacco? There's no buys on this slate. You know this, right?
600 or something?
You know there's no buys on this slate. You can play any quarterback you like. You have 26 quarterback options.
I love it.
You decided to go with Flacco.
We're going to have so much fun with this. Flacco in the deep ball to Elijah Moore all day, baby.
God.
Against a Baltimore Ravens secondary that struggles with the deep ball. Just saying, I think that it is a possibility. But what are the expectations for the Jets? Like, are you knocking anybody down? Are you afraid to start Garrett Wilson week 1? Are you afraid to start Elijah Moore?
No. Wilson, I'm not starting. I'm not starting any of the rookie. Well, first was yes, first was no.
I know. It's just funny that you're answering underneath your breath as we're going through it. But yes, go ahead.
Wilson, I'm not starting any of the rookie wide receivers week 1 if I can help it. Lennon would have been the only one I would have been comfortable with, but off whatever's going on with his knee, I would even avoid him this week if you can. We just have no idea what their snap count's going to be. Coaches are bizarre. Wilson could get 20% of the snaps. He get 80% of the snaps. I have no idea. Elijah Moore is the only Jet that I would be starting in week 1. But I would start him confidently.
Breece Hall or just wide receiver wise?
No, I wouldn't want to be starting either running back. I think it's a timeshare. They're going up against Baltimore. I'd be trying to avoid starting the Jets running backs. I mean, you might not have another option, but I would try to avoid it.
What are we expecting touch-wise? Like 10, 12 touches from each back, maybe?
Something like that.
All right.
I got a quick question on that, though. Just off the comment that Jacob just made, saying that you wouldn't start any rookie wide receiver, even Olave down in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be. It depends on the team and how deep it is, right? But I wouldn't
never forget Marquis Brown. Never forget Marquis Brown. Week 1, 12 touchdowns, 186 yards. Just saying, it's
well, he had 12 touchdowns.
12 touchdowns.
Did I say 12? 2 touchdowns. Yeah. 2 touchdowns. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, it would not surprise me if one of these rookie wide receivers had a really good game. But I remember last year, even. I mean, most of these rookie wide receivers that everybody was really hyped for that had really good seasons. Outside of Jamar Chase, didn't really do a whole lot in week 1. It's just, I think, especially this year, the only one that it seemed like had a only 2 really, that seemed like they have a fully locked in full-time role at week 1 is London, if healthy, and Dotson. If I was going to start any rookie wide receiver week 1, it actually might be Jahan Dotson, just based on the matchup and based on that he seems locked into a full-time role. Olave is not a bad option, but I don't know.
That says John Dotson. I know you can't really
between
see
Thomas,
it,
I do see it.
If
Thomas sits, I mean, everything I'm hearing everything I'm reading on Twitter seems to be optimistic that Thomas will play. If he does, I wouldn't want to start Olave probably week 1, but he could have a good game. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, up against Atlanta. I mean, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Baker Mayfield revenge game. Baker Mayfield, is this actually a play this week? And if it's not, are any of the other guys not plays, like DJ Moore's, Robbie Anderson's, whoever the tight end is right now. Is it Ian Thomas?
I think it's Tommy Trimble.
Is he the starter though?
Well, I think he's the pass catcher. I think Ian Thomas is the starter, but he's basically just a swing tackle.
It really doesn't matter who the starting tight end is for a Matt Rule system. It just never works out for the tight ends. Poor guys. All right. So, yeah, are you avoiding any of these wide receivers outside of DJ Moore?
Yes, I don't want to play a non-DJ Moore Panther wide receiver.
Yeah, the only wide receivers I'm playing out of Carolina are going to be DJ Moore and CMC.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's hop on to the Denver versus Seattle. First off, is Russell Wilson going to light up Seattle this game? Or
oh, my God,
going to run it down their throats?
Both.
What do you think is going to happen?
Both. All of the above.
Do you think Russell Wilson said, hey, here's the deal. If I sign this contract and we end up playing in Seattle throughout the year, because we probably will, you have to allow me to throw 80% of the time this game, since I never saw even like a 50% pass rate as a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. I think that was probably in his contract.
I think the best part of this is that it's Monday night. It's in Seattle. And he gets to do it in front of his old fans. I mean, that's just the best part for me. He is going to light the score.
They're going to win by so many points. I wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they hang 50 on the board.
Let's ride. All right, let's
Broncos country. Let's ride.
I'm hoping he comes out of like his car or truck or whatever he pulls up to the stadium in his old, Seattle number 3 jersey, and then rips it off like Superman when it has the Broncos 3 underneath.
Have you guys seen the Benchwarmer brand video? He does TikTok. I know you guys don't mess with TikTok a lot, and I honestly don't either. But recently, he's one of our affiliates over there at Trophy Smack. So I've been looking at his videos, and he's sitting there, and he's like playing as Russell Wilson, and he's like, Broncos country, let's ride. And he's in the background. And then one of the other quarterbacks like, what's wrong with him? He's like, oh, that's a Pokemon. That's a Pokemon over there. Don't worry about him. He's cool. So let's go ahead and talk about who will be the top target over there, because Cortland Sutton seems like player to go with for the Broncos up against Seattle. But does Jerry Jeudy have a chance of performing? Could we see an explosion from KJ Hamler if he ends up, being healthy enough? Is Javonte Williams or Melvin Gordon the play? What's going on? What's the thought process?
Everyone, I want to play every single Bronco. Every Bronco. If they have a horse on the side of their helmet, I'm playing them.
If there is nothing I have learned from listening to Jacob, you want to have a piece of good offenses. And this offense is supposed to be very, very good. I don't care if it's J.K. Hamler. Yeah, I don't care if it's
J.K. Hamler. Just kidding, Hamler.
Whoever it is, I want a piece of that offense. I honestly, to answer your question, though, I think, and I know everybody on Twitter, most analysts are all on this Courtland Sutton train. I want Jerry Jeudy because I can get him cheaper.
I'm with you. I prefer Jeudy at cost. I like Sutton too, but I prefer Jeudy at cost.
All right, so James comes back, says, thanks, guys. I did accept it. It just seemed too good to be true. I didn't know if something was model. I didn't know. Yeah, that was bizarre. I would 100% accept that. Your league profiters collusion. Just giving you a heads up. All right, so we have Mr. Scampers coming in, Gabe Davis or A-Rob.
Fun one.
By the way, if you have any questions for the chat, please make sure you put them in, because this will be the last little segment that we're going to be answering questions. After this, we're going to go to our final segment where we give our top players that outside the top 20 on ESPN rankings who will finish, we are guaranteeing to finish inside the top 10. We are guaranteeing. And we have a little, competition between that. So Gabe Davis or A-Rob, half-point PPR, which I think is important here. I do not like A-Rob this week. I don't like the Stafford arm. The Buffalo secondary is beat up, but it's still a great system over there they operate through. Even with injuries last year, they were still one of the best defenses up against the pass. Gabe Davis, for me, is the lock. I don't think he's going to see any Jalen Ramsey coverage. I'm taking Gabe.
Give me Gabe.
I guess I'll go with A-Rob on this one.
Good for you. You've maintained your sanity, Gator.
I'm going to go different on this, and the reason I think so is again going back to one of the first questions was with Van Jefferson being out. I think A-Rob's going to be able to see a little bit more target share than what he would normally see. I think Cooper Kupp's going to, of course, take a lot of that double coverage. Cooper Kupp's that's going to be, that's a no-brainer. But I think A-Rob's going to get a little bit more with all the hype on Twitter about Gabe Davis. I'm hoping that hype leaked over into that LA locker room as well. So maybe they'll cover that guy a little bit more.
LA's reading the Gabriel Davis hype on Twitter from Fantasy Football Guys.
That's right.
All right, worry level on Deontay Johnson. I'm guessing 1 to 10. What's the situation with Deontay Johnson?
Oh, he hurt his shoulder, and he said he's going to try and play.
He's always hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a shoulder, so I don't think it'll affect him too much if he actually plays. I think, yeah. I mean, if he plays, start him. If he doesn't play, then make sure you have a backup plan in mind at this point.
So typically, his drops occur in the later months when he has to play outside for some weird reason. He is afraid to play in the cold. It's like he hurts his hands when he tries to catch balls or something in the wintertime. I don't know what it is, but all of his drops occur during the wintertime, so you do not have to fear the drops this for this week. I'm not worried about Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's a Sunday morning. Let's see if he's going to start. If he starts, you put him in.
All right. Start Tyler Lockett or Cordell Patterson.
I had the Lockett. I had the Lockett versus CPAT decision that I just made in 3 leagues, actually. 3 dynasty leagues. I had that decision in my last flex. I picked CPAT every time.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because Tyler Lockett plays out of the slot. I mean, they don't have a great slot option, I don't think, on defense over there for Denver. Let me go ahead and read.
I don't think it's a slam dunk. I think this one really could go either way. I honestly, I try not to put too much thought into start sit, to be honest. Here's my thought on start sit. I know that people ask us and people enjoy the answers and we'll give you answers. The odds that the odds you're going to make the right decision, even if you have the best possible process, you're going to be hit and miss no matter what. B, the odds that it matters, right? The odds that you either win by less than the difference between those players or lose by more than the difference between those players. It's so low. Don't beat yourself up over start sit decisions. Enjoy the season.
So we do a starter sit show over on Sunday mornings that are very, very important for you guys to tune into because your winning and losing depends on your starter sit decisions. So make sure you join us on Sunday mornings over there on Fantasy Football Discussion and YouTube.com/fantasy intervention to make sure that you can survive your league by your start or sit decisions.
Did Jacob just get fired from Sunday mornings?
I'm not on the Sunday morning show.
He would have to he would have to be up at like 6 o'clock a.m. to be able to make Sunday morning.
I'd have to be up at 3. Do you understand how much time I put in Sunday morning into my fucking DFS lineups? I already get up at 4:30 every Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's the worst.
So what you're saying is you're never going to be invited to come this Sunday mornings.
I've come on once and I told people who to start, told people who to sit. I probably got about half of them right.
Oh, this is a good one. All right, so Tyler comes in and asks AJ Brown for Gibson and a 24 first.
AJ Brown.
What if Gibson ends up ripping it off in the beginning of the year for the first 2 or 3 games and just crushes it, and then Rivera looks like a jackass putting in Brian Robinson? Because he'll do it anyways. Rivera will definitely do it, and Rivera will say, "I don't give a fuck." He will definitely do that.
Wait, isn't that his philosophy in life, though? I mean, that's your boat run. That's how he got it. So, I mean, this trade though is AJ Brown. I mean, that's not even.
I was trying to make it interesting. It is AJ Brown. All right, let's go ahead. Oh, am I benching Dylan for MVS or Christian Kirk? Fuck no.
I would not.
All right, cool. Let's hop on to our last segment. And you guys ready for this?
No.
Let's do this.
All right, so what we're doing it.
Gator, use this to move on to the next segment. We're staying on this segment. Please don't. I gotta go to class.
Go ahead.
All right, we got 21 minutes left to be able to finish this episode out. I tried to cut a section out, so that section is actually going to be what are the games are must see for fantasy purposes. Jacob and I will actually cover that on playerprofiler.com/.
And it's the Commanders and the Jaguars.
Stop. I do have John Dotson for that. No, but we will be covering that on our live show for DFS over there for playerprofiler.com. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's one of the best websites to be able to make your DFS decisions and your season-long decisions, to be honest. Go check it out, playerprofiler.com. We'll be live on their YouTube channel on Friday at 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and hop on to the guys outside the top 20 ranked by ESPN in the top 15 for quarterbacks and tight ends. Running backs and wide receivers are outside the top 20 that have a chance to finish inside the top 10 at their position. I'm going to go ahead and start it out just to make sure that we got this clear and free. And I'm going with Daniel Jones up against the Titans. Daniel Jones is somebody that we've liked just because of the system, right? And because of Brian Dable and what he's bringing to town. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones with his rushing ability offers a ton of upside. Meanwhile, let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. I'm pretty sure I have it right here. The the Titans defensive line. We have Demarcus Walker, undrafted or unsigned from Houston. Tier Tart, Jeffrey Simmons, who was a first-round pick. Bud Dupree, who has failed epically over there. Meanwhile, their linebackers consist of David Long, Zach Cunningham, Danico Autry. I mean, this team is completely beat up front and could easily allow the most reverts to quarterbacks throughout the entire season, as they do end up playing Trevor Lawrence amongst others on their thinking that Daniel Jones might have more yards in this game than he actually has passing yards. Meanwhile, their secondary was beat up last year. It is healthier. This does make me a little bit nervous, but their secondary is kind of questionable. I mean, isn't even because of a second round that they drafted in 2020. You're making questionable decisions, whether it's in the draft, free agency, or developing. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and think that Daniel Jones is going to just take laps on opposing fantasy teams. So if you're somebody that's streaming the quarterback position, stream Daniel Jones up against the Titans.
Love that call. Like Daniel Jones this year. Similarly to Chase, I'm going with sort of the other discount bargain bin rushing quarterback that you can take this year. Not as great of a matchup, but I'm still going to put my faith here in the Konami code for week 1, getting myself a little stable floor. That's Marcus Mariota. Sounds like Drake London is on track to play. He's going to have London. He's going to have Pitts. The New Orleans defense, while certainly good, I think might take a little bit of a step back this year. They just lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and their team is starting to atrophy a little bit from having to acknowledge the fact that there is indeed a salary cap in the National Football League. And so I could see Atlanta having a little bit of room to operate. I think New Orleans should be able to put up some points on Atlanta. And Marcus Mariota, even if he's not able to throw particularly effectively, should be able to add 30, 40 rushing yards on the ground, just enough where if you need to not lose your league this week, I think he can get you 15, 16 points. Maybe if he punches in a rushing touchdown, you can get into that 20-point range, into the QB1 range.
Yeah, I went the complete opposite way. I went with a quarterback, not a running back that can throw the ball. I went with a quarterback, and that's Matt Ryan. I mean, he's sitting right now on ESPN at 22, I think it is. Yeah, 22, which is insane with the weapons that he has around him, with the offensive line that he has, best offensive line that he's had. So I just went back and just looked, and ironically, in 2021, 3,900 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2020, 4,500 yards. 2019, 4,400 yards. Now he's got a true running back. And in 2019, the one time that they played, who was it?
Houston?
Yeah, Houston. The one time he played Houston in 2019. Check out this stat line. 32 for 46. 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick.
Oh, I remember that game. That was the game Will Fuller had like 55 points.
And by the way,
that was a crazy one.
He did rush for a touchdown in that game. So, Matt Ryan, let's go. Top 10 next week.
All right. Well, I mean, on behalf of Colts Nation, we would love that. I'm mentally prepared for us to lose the first week because the Colts will lose week 1 no matter what garbage ass team that they play. So I've already emotionally accepted that we're losing to the Texans.
Well, don't worry. I didn't do that much research on the other guy.
All right. So what about for the running backs? Gator J, do you want to start this one out for the running back position?
I took Rashad Penny on this one, and for one reason and one reason only. We don't know what Kenneth Walker is going to be. We do know that Seattle has no choice but to run the ball with the quarterback situation that they have. Yeah, DK is going to get a few passes. Lockett's probably going to get a few passes. But I just think that I want to say he was like 22, 23, somewhere in that range. I think he can jump up there in 1 week with the production that he had the end of year last year. I think he can hold on and do that again, at least for week 1. Maybe. It's Denver.
All right. Jacob, who we got?
I've got just a horrendous running back selection.
God,
for
are
you.
you serious?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look, anytime you can get a starting running back in the game with the highest over-under of the week, you got to do it. You just have to take that shot. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not good at football, but that's okay. They're going to at least give him the first month of the season, I think, to try and run away with the starting job before he gets put on notice. And so I think if you want to get everything you can out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, now is the time to do it, because I think that he's going to have every opportunity to perform early in the season. I expect him to get a decent amount of usage. I expect him to have plenty of opportunities to score touchdowns in a game that I think will be back and forth at a high pace between them and the Arizona Cardinals. Give me Clyde Edwards-Helaire and give me assured disappointment on Monday.
I thought
I feel like that for my tight end pick, to be honest. But yeah.
Oh, I know who you take tight end.
I thought he was put on notice when they signed Ronald Jones, and then I thought he was put on notice during this spring or the fall camp whenever Isaiah decided he was going to be a 7th round pick and looked like he was a 1st round pick. I thought he was already put on notice, and yet he still has the starting job.
So it's kind of funny. Like I actually shared a show sheet to talk to Gator about like the show sheets we're doing now, right? So and how to explain the games. And the last time the time that I showed him was from like week 11 or something like that. And I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire as my running back, and he won the whole thing for me that week. He's the reason why I won that week. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is definitely a thing. I'm going to go ahead and take A.J. Dillon over there up against Minnesota. Minnesota has improved their defense significantly, but I mean, we're talking about a team that is still somewhat trying to find their way. They're halfway through rebuild. They got a new head coach, new defensive coordinator. A.J. Dillon should see work in the receiving game, especially with Al-Lazard now, questionable with a slight injury. We don't know what's going to happen with this wide receiver room. I mean, A.J. Dillon could easily see 10 targets this week up against Minnesota. I think he's going to slam. And the fact that he's so low, I think he's in the 30s for ESPN rankings, is absolutely just absurd to me. Like A.J. Dillon, minimum, the worst he could possibly do is top 20. But he is definitely a top 10 finish in the realm of possibilities. A.J. Dillon, sign me up. All right. You guys want to add to that?
Good pick.
Yeah, great pick.
Good player.
All right, wide receivers. Jacob, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know that it's boring because he's literally 21, so he's the first one outside of the top 20. But I just think that he's in a really, really nice spot this whole season long.
Jacob, this is week 1. The rankings are all sorts of messed up because we don't know what to expect. And you took wide receiver 21 on ESPN rankings. Are you serious right now?
Well, it helps I didn't look. I just assumed he was going to be further outside the top 20 because I did this yesterday on my other show and he was 27 because we do it off Fantasy Pros. And then I checked ESPN to make sure, and I saw that he was at 21. But there's a lot of good options. You want me to go with someone deeper? You want someone deeper?
No. Nope. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's your dude.
I just got to take Amon-Ra because Chase hates him so much, and I just want to get off to a fast start with my guy Amon-Ra St. Brown. Going 9 catches, 120 yards, couple touchdowns. Darius Slay is going to be taking away DJ Chark. Not that anyone needs to take away DJ Chark. And then, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he's still getting used to the system out in Philadelphia. So I think that Amon-Ra will have some room to operate in the slot. It's a game. I expect Detroit to get completely boat raced in this game by Philly, who I think is the best team in the NFC. And Amon-Ra in catch-up mode, that's where he thrives, just catching those 10-yard slants up over the middle repeatedly. Just each time that he catches one, Chase just dies a little bit more inside.
Jared Goff is actually on my DFS sheet too.
Do you want to play any good quarterbacks?
I'm just kidding. He's not on my team. I just had to mess with you a little bit.
My question against that, or my argument against that, is we got RB1 on the year in that backfield, and I mean, if he's catching 1,000 yards and rushing 1,000 yards, how in the hell can Amon-Ra be anything? I mean, he's gonna have to wait till like week 8, week 9 in order to be able to catch a pass, because I mean, it's all going to DeAndre Swift, right?
I'm not on the Swift train with you guys. That's all.
I'll get out. All right, so Jayson, we'll go with you. What is your wide receiver that you're picking this week?
Well, so I tried to cheat with the quarterback because you said top 50, or outside the top 15. The quarterback I chose to start with was Jameis Winston, but he was at 15, so I got had to back out. So I went with Matt Ryan there. So then I decided, what, since I got to do a wide receiver as well, I'll go to wide receiver 1 in New Orleans, who is 27 in ESPN, and that's Michael Thomas.
Love it.
They have to be expecting probably the lowest scoring game, like ESPN as a whole. This has to be the lowest scoring game on the slate for them to have Michael Thomas and all these players outside of the top rank.
Oh yeah. Well, here's something ironic for you. Of course, he hasn't played since 2020, right? 2 of the last 4 games that he has played has been against Atlanta.
Yeah, what's he putting up? What are the stats? Give it to me, because I know you already got him prepped. Let's go.
12 targets, 9 receptions for 104 yards.
Love that.
11 targets, 9 receptions, 105 yards.
Oh, we love that.
Jameis Winston, the quarterback.
Well, no.
It was Taysom Hill.
I'm joking. I know.
I think it was actually Taysom Hill.
No, it was 20. It would have been Drew Brees, probably.
No, there was one of them 100% was Taysom against Atlanta. The other one might have been Breeze, but for sure one of those was a Taysom game.
So, but I mean, with Winston just chucking the ball left and right, and
if he does,
well, I mean, if you look at the 6 games that Winston did last year, I mean, he threw the ball 7,000 times in 6 games and only had 3 picks. So, I mean, hey,
impressive.
Let's go.
All right, so for mine, it's Kadarius Toney.
Oh, great pick.
He's my dude. You guys know that I've had him since before he was drafted. I've been calling him the human joystick. Although I know that belongs, of course, to Hall, it's still, for me, Kadarius Toney. You watch him, he's a video game. He's been dealing with the injuries and stuff. But supposedly he's healthy. He's ready to go. The hamstring is not bothering him whatsoever. I mean, this is just an excellent matchup. And now I'm stacking Daniel Jones with Kadarius Toney. So I'm either all in this week or I'm going to suck by the end of the week in terms of my rankings. So here we go.
Whenever you can stack the Giants, got to do it. We're going to talk so much fucking Giants on Friday because their prices are so egregious.
I know. It's so ridiculous.
Every one of them. Like Wan'Dale, Kadarius, Barkley, Jones. It's really gross.
I even kind of like Sterling Shepard, which is bad. All right, let's go ahead and go on to tight ends. I'm going to start with mine because mine's a giant disappointment, but I have to say it.
Yeah, I thought you've already picked 2 giant disappointments so far today.
I know, giant disappointment.
We're in mid-season form.
Yes, let's go. All right, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram over there up against Washington.
Speaking of giant disappointment.
I know, right? Jacob, I think the people got it. So Evan Ingram up against Washington. Washington is being subject to some big tight end games they've allowed. What's his name? Cam ends up doing okay. Cameron Curl does okay up against tight ends, but Evan Ingram should be schemed open in this matchup. The issue is always the hands. It's not if Evan Ingram can get open. It's not if Evan Ingram can do anything with the ball in his hands after the catch. The issue is him catching it. So hopefully they scheme things close to the line of scrimmage. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence has time to get it to Evan Ingram, and hopefully it's accurate. Meanwhile, let's let Evan Ingram's legs do the rest. I think that he does have a top 10 finish in his possible outcomes this week. And I mean, I don't even hate it. Like, I might even mess with it some in DFS.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that pick. To be honest, I mean, he did get married this past offseason, so maybe maybe that helped his settling down and start put some glue on his fingers or something.
I wonder if his wife makes him wear gloves with lotion on it, right? Because that's supposed to make your hands softer.
Well, I think he has less. He might have different needs for the lotion now.
I think it's the other way around. The lotion was going towards other uses now.
So now he's going to be de-lotioned.
That makes stickier, right?
You put the lotion back in the basket.
Back in the basket. All right, Jacob, what you got?
I've got Albert Okwuegbunam. I said anybody who's got a horse on the side of their helmet, I want to start this week. Albert O certainly falls into that category. I just mentioned, I think that Seattle is potentially going to give up 50 to the Denver Broncos this week. Russell Wilson, I bet you this. Every time they get first and goal, second and goal, Russell Wilson's calling pass plays on every one of those. And so who's he going to throw to? He's going to throw to the big man, Albert Okwuegbunam. Seattle, here's a hand in the dirt take for you. Seattle plays base defense. They're 4-3, more than any other team in the league during this Pete Carroll era. That means that we're often going to leave linebackers on the field, forced to cover tight ends. Because of that, Seattle has continually been a favorable matchup for opposing tight ends. I expect Albert Okwuegbunam to get matched up on linebackers in red zone situations. Watch for him to score a touchdown, maybe even 2 touchdowns on Monday night.
Oof, that's nice. That's a great pick. I think I went easy.
I think that pick is shit. I'm kidding.
You picked Evan Ingram.
Well, we're all right in the same area. 19. You took 19. I took 20, and then Chase took 22. So I think we're all right in the same area. But I think mine's more chalk though. With taking Njoku, just because of who the quarterback's going to be. It's going to be a check down city, in my opinion. I think he's gonna put up some numbers. I think against Carolina. I think it's not going to be a shootout by no means, but I think he's going to be able to do some crossing routes and then of course get in the end zone. I'm not going to say 2 touchdowns. I'm not going to be that bold there, Jacob, but I think 2 touchdowns for Alberto, huh?
Well, when Russ throws 7, you only got to get 2 of them.
God.
And a 2-point conversion, right, to make that 50.
Exactly. All right, I love it. Hey, listen, I appreciate everybody for coming.
It's going to be like Julius Thomas in the opening game when he had 3 touchdowns and Manning threw 7. That's what's going to happen again here with these same Broncos.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, a future Hall of Famer at the quarterback position. I mean, it happens.
Hey, listen, I appreciate everybody for coming in, of course. Thank you guys for listening to this episode in week 1. We will be doing this every single week. So if you have any questions, please make sure you bring them to our live shows over there on Fantasy Football Discussion and youtube.com/fantasy intervention. We appreciate you guys. Jacob, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter, FF_RTDB. Check out my new column, Hitchhiker's Guide to Running Back. That just debuted just the other day. That's pinned at the top. And check out, of course, I'll be with Chase for the Big Tilt, the premiere of the Chase and Jacob version of the Big Tilt on Friday.
Love it. Gator J, where can we find you?
You can find me over on Twitter at FantasyJ77. You can find me here on Wednesday nights. And then tomorrow night, we are doing pregame starting at 7 o'clock over there on Going for 2 with the Dynasty Gambit. And then, I just had an article drop, by the way. I need to put that out there. I need to let you proofread a little bit there, Jacob. Now, Chase did a great job helping me with my very first, and it's not an article, It's a blurb. I let Chase look at it, and Chase corrected me on a lot of my, I had Ayuk being like 1,000-yard pass or receiver, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, 9 touchdowns. And Chase says, all right, Jason, you cannot do it like this. This is not how you want your first article to come out. So thanks, Chase, for doing that.
Of course, anytime. And yeah, you guys can go check out all of our content over there at fantasyintervention.com, where the Dose Score will be premiering in week 3. Of course, playerprofile.com and Trophy Smack. I don't know if you guys can see the trophy behind me, of course. TrophySmack.com. If you have not gotten your trophies, if you have not gotten your title belts, you need to get them from TrophySmack.com. If you use promo code CIRCLE, once again, that's promo code CIRCLE, you'll actually receive a free ring with the purchase of a trophy or a belt. That's right. It's a $6 ring. You can pass around the belt or the trophy to other league mates. Meanwhile, you get to keep that ring. TrophySmack.com. Use promo code CIRCLE, and you'll get a free ring with that. Make sure both are in your cart. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you all for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life. We are out.